What if I told you that some of Hollywood's biggest stars in the 1960s were actually some of the most hated figures off-screen? From Joan Crawford's tyrannical behavior to Marilyn Monroe's troubled personal life, the reality behind the Hollywood facade was often much darker. Here are the 30 most hated Hollywood actresses of the 1960s. 1. Lana Turner. Lana Turner was one of the most famous actresses in Hollywood during the Golden Age, known for her beauty and talent. But her personal life often grabbed more attention than her movies. One of the most talked about parts of her life was her relationship with Johnny Stompanato, a man with a dark reputation. He was a former Marine who worked as a bodyguard for a mob boss named Mickey Cohen. Their relationship was toxic and filled with drama, as Stompanato was abusive and had a bad temper. Things took a tragic turn on April 4th, 1958. Lana and Johnny were in her Beverly Hills home when an argument started. Lana's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, heard the fight. Cheryl took action against Johnny in a desperate attempt to protect her mom. Cheryl said she was defending her mother because Johnny was being violent. After a trial, Cheryl was found innocent, and the death was ruled as self-defense. Even though the case was closed, it left a big stain on Lana's life and career. People couldn't stop talking about the scandal, and it affected how they saw her. Even with her success in movies like Peyton Place and The Postman Always Rings Twice, this incident stayed with her. 2. Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine is a famous actress who has been in a lot of great movies and even won an Oscar. But she's also known for her bold personality and some pretty big arguments with other people in Hollywood. One time in 1988, she was on the David Letterman show, and things got really awkward. David Letterman kept making fun of her belief in reincarnation, which she takes very seriously. Shirley didn't find it funny and told him he had a lot of karma to clear up. The whole thing got pretty tense, and it was super awkward to watch. Another big drama in her life happened while she was filming Terms of Endearment, one of her most famous movies. Shirley had a big feud with her co-star, Deborah Winger. Shirley wrote in her memoir that Deborah yelled at her on set and made things really hard for everyone. People say the two actresses just didn't get along at all, and it created a lot of tension during filming. Even with these controversies, Shirley has stayed successful and respected in Hollywood. She's always been someone who speaks her mind, even if it causes some drama. 3. Tuesday. Weld. Tuesday. Weld was a talented actress who became famous during Hollywood's golden age. She was super talented, but her personality and actions often got more attention than her acting. People said she could be difficult to work with, especially when she was younger. She had a bit of a rebellious streak, which made her stand out, but not always in a good way. One time, she caused a huge scene at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel because the staff wouldn't let her visit Elvis Presley. She really wanted to see him, and when they said no, she didn't take it well. Stories like this made her look dramatic, and people started calling her controversial. Tuesday also had a tough personal life. She struggled with substance abuse and mental health problems, which made things even harder for her. These issues sometimes overshadowed her acting career. Even though she was in some amazing movies and showed how talented she was, people focused more on the drama in her life. 4. Barbara Payton. Barbara Payton was a Hollywood actress with a lot of talent, but her personal life was full of drama that ended up ruining her career. She was known for her wild behavior and having a really bad temper. People talked about her a lot because of her relationships with famous men, like actor Tom Neal and even a mobster named Mickey Cohen. These relationships were super scandalous and kept her in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Barbara also struggled a lot with addiction and mental health issues, which made things worse. She had public outbursts and even got into legal trouble because of her behavior. People started focusing more on her problems than her acting. Even though Barbara had the talent to become a big star, her personal struggles made it hard for her to stay successful. Hollywood can be really harsh, and once her reputation was ruined, she couldn't recover. Her life took a really sad turn, and she ended up losing everything. 5. Brigitte Bardot. Brigitte Bardot is a famous actress and style icon from the 1950s and 1960s. She was super popular back then for her beauty, acting, and bold personality. But over the years, she became more known for her strong opinions than her movie. She's always been outspoken, which some people admire, but others find her comments really controversial. One of the things that made her a polarizing figure is her views on big topics like immigration, animal rights, and the Me Too movement. While she's a big supporter of animal rights and fights against animal cruelty, her comments about immigration have been called offensive and even landed her in trouble with the law in France. She's also criticized the Me Too movement, calling it hypocritical and ridiculous. She said women were acting like victims, and this upset a lot of people. Her comments started huge debates, with some defending her right to speak her mind and others saying her words were hurtful. 6. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was one of the most famous actresses in Hollywood, known for her beauty, talent, and dramatic personal life. But in the early 1960s, her affair with Richard Burton caused one of the biggest scandals of that time. Elizabeth was married to Eddie Fisher, but their relationship was already controversial because Eddie had left his wife, Debbie Reynolds, to be with her. Things got even more dramatic in 1962 when Elizabeth met Richard Burton while filming Cleopatra. The two fell in love on set and started an affair, even though they were both married to other people. The media went crazy over the scandal, and everyone had something to say about it. The Vatican even criticized Elizabeth, and her own dad reportedly called her a disrespectful name, which was extremely harsh. She also got hate from the public, with people sending threats and making terrible personal attacks. It was a really tough time for her. Despite all the drama, Elizabeth and Richard stayed together. They got married not once, but twice, and became one of Hollywood's most famous and talked about couples. 7. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe is one of the most famous actresses of all time, loved by fans all over the world for her beauty and charm. But behind the glamorous image, her personal life was full of struggles. She had a tough time with mental health issues and substance abuse, which made things really hard for her. Even though Marilyn was super talented, her career wasn't easy. She was known for being late to film sets or sometimes not showing up at all. This made directors and producers frustrated, and some people said she was hard to work with. But fans still adored her, and her movies were huge hits. Her relationships were another big part of her life that got a lot of attention. She was married to baseball star Joe DiMaggio, but their marriage didn't last long, and they got divorced. Later, she married writer Arthur Miller, but that marriage ended too. Both relationships were very public, and the breakups were hard on her. Marilyn's life was full of ups and downs, and sadly, it ended too soon. She died when she was only 36 years old, leaving the world shocked and heartbroken. 8. Jayne Mansfield. Jayne Mansfield was a big Hollywood star in the 1950s and 1960s, known for her beauty and glamorous image. She loved being in the spotlight and wasn't shy about showing off her look. Jayne often wore revealing outfits and did bold things to get attention from the media. While this made her super famous, some people thought it overshadowed her acting talent. Because of her image, Jayne was often given roles that focused on her look rather than her skills as an actress. She got stuck playing the dumb blonde stereotype, even though she tried hard to prove she could do more serious roles. It wasn't easy for her to be taken seriously in Hollywood because people only saw her as a sex symbol. As time went on, Jayne's career started to slow down. The roles she wanted weren't coming her way anymore, and she struggled to stay in the spotlight. Even though she had a lot of fans and was super popular for her bold style and personality, her acting career didn't reach the heights she hoped for. 9. Bette Davis. Bette Davis was one of the greatest actresses in Hollywood, but she was also famous for her strong personality and dramatic feuds, especially with Joan Crawford. Their rivalry is one of the most talked about in Hollywood history, and it hit its peak when they worked together on the 1962 movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Bette and Joan didn't get along for many reasons. They were both talented actresses who competed for the best roles in an industry that cared more about young stars than experienced ones. On top of that, their personalities clashed. Bette was outspoken and didn't care about being polite, while Joan was more polished but reportedly held grudges. During the filming of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, things got really bad between them. Bette once described Joan as very difficult to work with, a talented actress, but overly competitive. Joan, in return, called Bette insincere and difficult. Their on-set fights were so intense that it became a Hollywood legend. There were stories of Joan deliberately wearing heavy weights under her costume to make scenes where Bette had to drag her around harder. Bette also allegedly hurt Joan in one scene, claiming it was an accident. 10. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, known for her incredible acting and glamorous style. But she was also known for being difficult to work with. Joan was super demanding on set and wanted everything to be perfect, which sometimes caused problems with directors, producers, and her co-stars. Even though she was very successful in her career, her tough personality gave her a reputation for being hard to deal with. Things got even more complicated after her adopted daughter, Christina Crawford, wrote a book called Mommy Dearest. The book, which was later made into a movie, painted Joan as a really strict and bad mother. It talked about how controlling she could be, and it shocked a lot of people. Some fans defended Joan and said the book was exaggerated, but others believed it showed a darker side of her personality. The controversy around Mommy Dearest hurt Joan's reputation a lot. Instead of being remembered just for her amazing performances in classic movies, many people started to focus on the bad things said about her. 11. Kim Novak. Kim Novak was a big Hollywood star in the 1950s and 1960s, known for her beauty and acting talent. But her career wasn't all smooth sailing, and she faced a lot of criticism for her personal life and her unique approach to acting. One of the reasons people talked about her so much was because of her relationship. She dated some very famous and controversial men like Ramfis Trujillo, the son of a dictator, and Sammy Davis Jr., who was a big star himself. Her relationship with Sammy Davis Jr. was especially tough because of the racial prejudices at the time. Society wasn't very accepting, and they ended up breaking up because of the pressure. When it came to her acting, Kim had her own style that didn't always fit what Hollywood wanted. She didn't try to be the typical actress of her time and often picked roles that were more challenging or different. Her performance in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo is still considered one of the best in film history, and she was also amazing in North by Northwest. But her refusal to play by Hollywood's rules made some people think she was hard to work with. In the mid-1960s, Kim decided to step away from Hollywood, which surprised a lot of people. 12. Sophia Loren. Sophia Loren is one of the most famous actresses of all time and a true Hollywood legend. But even with all her success, her life wasn't without drama. She faced some serious legal battles and had a long-running feud with another famous actress, Gina Lollobrigida. One of the biggest legal problems in Sophia's life was with the Italian tax authorities. Back in 1974, there was a dispute over how much tax she owed on her earning. The case dragged on for almost 40 years. Which is crazy. Finally, in 2013, the Italian Supreme Court ruled in her favor, clearing her name. It must have been a huge relief for her after fighting it for so long. Then there was her rivalry with Gina Lollobrigida, another iconic Italian actress. Their feud started in the 1950s and lasted for decades. They were both super talented and beautiful, so naturally, they competed for the same roles and attention. The media loved to play up the rivalry, and it was said that the two couldn't even be in the same room together. 13. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda is a legendary actress and activist, but in the early days of her career, her personal life often got more attention than her work. During the late 1950s and early 1960s, Jane was linked to a bunch of famous men, including actors, producers, and even a racing manager. People couldn't stop talking about who she was dating, which sometimes made it hard for her acting to shine. In 1965, Jane married French film director Roger Vadim. Their relationship was super glamorous and always in the spotlight. Later, in 1973, she married activist Tom Hayden, and this marriage was also very public. Both relationships showed different sides of Jane, her Hollywood glamour, and her growing interest in activism. While her relationships were a big deal in the media, Jane didn't let that stop her from building an amazing career. She became a hugely successful actress, starring in hit movies and winning awards. Over time, though, she shifted her focus to activism. She became a strong voice for women's rights, the environment, and fitness. Her workout videos even made her a household name in a whole new way. 14. Jean Seberg. Jean Seberg became famous for her roles in French New Wave films like Breathless, but her life was filled with challenges, especially because of her political beliefs and personal relationships. Jean was a strong supporter of the Black Panther Party, which was very controversial at the time. Her activism made her a target for the FBI. They started a smear campaign against her, spreading lies that she was pregnant with the child of a Black Panther member. These false rumors hurt her reputation and caused her a lot of stress which affected her mental health. Her personal life was also pretty dramatic. She was married to French author Romain Gary, but she also had affairs with famous people like Clint Eastwood and black activist Hakeem Jamal. These relationships, along with the constant harassment from the FBI, made things even harder for her. Jean struggled with her mental health for years because of all the pressure and negativity surrounding her. Tragically, in 1979, she passed away at just 40 years old. 15. Anne Margaret. Anne Margaret is a super talented actress and singer who became famous in the 1960s. She had a unique style that made her stand out, but not everyone liked it. She was known for her bold and raunchy performances, which were considered really daring for that time. Anne Margaret wasn't afraid to embrace her sexuality on screen, which made some people uncomfortable, especially those with more conservative views. While her daring performances earned her tons of fans, they also brought a lot of criticism. Some people thought her style was too much and not appropriate for movies back then. But Anne Margaret didn't let the negative comments stop her. She kept doing her thing and proved she was more than just her look. She was a talented actress and performer. She starred in movies like Viva Las Vegas with Elvis Presley and Carnal Knowledge, which showed off her amazing acting skills. People loved her energy and confidence, and she became a huge star. Even though she faced criticism, she left a big impact on Hollywood. 16. Raquel Welch. Raquel Welch was a huge star back in the 60s and 70s. Everyone knew her face, she was incredibly beautiful, and she kind of became this symbol of sex appeal. But some people felt like her looks were more important than her actual acting skills. They'd say, "She's pretty, but can she really act?" It's true, she was definitely known for her stunning look. I mean, who can forget that famous fur bikini from 1 million years BC? That movie, even though it wasn't exactly a masterpiece, really launched her career. She also did The Three Musketeers and a bunch of other films, and she was always glamorous and captivating on screen. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind. She was a supporter of women's rights and the sexual revolution, which was a really big deal back then. She showed women that they could be both beautiful and independent, and that they didn't have to conform to society's expectation. And just because of that, some people used to hate her in the industry. 17. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was a fantastic actress, no doubt about it. But her life wasn't always easy, and there were a lot of rumors and controversies that followed her. First, there was her tragic death. She drowned while on a boat trip with her husband, Robert Wagner, and another actor, Christopher Walken. The details of what exactly happened that night are still a bit of a mystery, and there's been a lot of speculation and debate over the years. And then there were the rumors about her personal life. Her sister Lana accused actor Kirk Douglas of harming Natalie when she was just a kid. These claims, even though they're serious, are hard to prove now, but they definitely added to the complicated picture of her life. It's a shame, really. She was such a talented actress with so much promise, but her personal life seemed to overshadow her career at times. It's hard to separate the tragic figure from the talented artist. 18. Claudia Cardinale. Claudia Cardinale is a legendary Italian actress. She's super talented and has worked with some of the biggest directors in the world. But you know how some people can be a bit strong-willed? Well, Claudia is definitely one of those. She's always been very outspoken about what she believes in, especially when it comes to women's rights. But sometimes people might have thought she was a bit bossy or difficult because she wasn't afraid to speak her mind. Even though some people might have found her a bit challenging, she's always stayed true to herself. She's done amazing things in her career and is a real inspiration for women everywhere. She's shown that you can be successful and independent without compromising your beliefs. Plus, she's been a UNESCO Goodwill Ambassador for the defense of women's rights since 2000. That's a huge deal. She's not just talking the talk, she's walking the walk and actually doing something to make the world a better place for women. 19. Carol Baker. Carol Baker was in this movie called Baby Doll back in 1956. It was directed by this famous guy, Elia Kazan, and written by Tennessee Williams, who was known for his intense and sometimes controversial plays. Now, Baby Doll was a pretty wild movie for its time. It was about this young woman, played by Baker, who was basically a child bride. The movie had some pretty suggestive scenes and strong undertones. people were not happy about it. The Catholic Church even condemned the film, saying it was a moral danger. They even had a giant billboard in New York City showing Baker in a crib, like a baby, which just added fuel to the fire. But here's the thing, even though it caused a huge stir, Baby Doll was actually critically acclaimed. People who saw it really appreciated the acting and the artistic vision behind it. Baker herself even got nominated for an award for her performance. 20. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was a total icon. She was this amazing German-American actress and singer who basically broke all the rules. Back in her day, women were expected to dress and behave a certain way, but Marlene didn't care about any of that. She would often rock men's suits and tuxedos, both on and off screen. That was super daring and definitely not the norm back then. People were probably like, "Whoa, what is she doing?" But Marlene didn't care. She was all about expressing herself and challenging traditional gender roles. Her style and attitude were definitely controversial. Some people probably thought she was a bit too rebellious, or even a little weird. But you know what? She inspired so many people, especially within the LGBTQ+ community. She showed them that it was okay to be different and to embrace who they were, even though she sometimes rubbed people the wrong way because of her strong personality. Marlene Dietrich was a true trailblazer. 21. Candice Bergen. Candice Bergen, this really famous actress, was in this super popular TV show called Murphy Brown. In this show, she played a single mom who was also a successful news anchor. Now, back in 1992, the vice president at the time, Dan Quayle, actually criticized the show. He thought it was sending the wrong message to people, saying it wasn't a good idea for single women to raise children. This caused a huge debate. Everyone was talking about it, on TV, in newspapers, everywhere. Candice Bergen, who played Murphy Brown, was right in the middle of it all. But you know what? Candice didn't back down. She stood her ground and defended her character and the show. She even gave a really powerful speech at the Emmy Awards that year, basically telling everyone that Murphy Brown was a strong, independent woman who could raise a child on her own. Even though there was a lot of controversy, Murphy Brown continued to be a huge success. 22. Diahann Carroll. Diahann Carroll was a total trailblazer. She was one of the first black actresses to really break into Hollywood and land major roles. This was a huge deal because back then it was really hard for black actors to get good parts. She was in this TV show called Julia, and it was a big deal. Some people saw it as a huge step forward because it showed a black woman in a positive light as a doctor. But others felt like it didn't really show the true struggles that black people faced in America at the time. Diahann Carroll also had a pretty interesting personal life. She dated and married some really famous people, like Sidney Poitier. But her personal life wasn't always easy, and she sometimes struggled with self-esteem. Even though she faced a lot of challenges and criticism, Diahann Carroll was an amazing actress and a strong woman. 23. Cicely Tyson. Cicely Tyson was an amazing actress who played strong, complex black women in her movies and TV shows. She was a real trailblazer, breaking barriers in Hollywood and inspiring so many people. One time, she was in this TV show called East Side, West Side, and she wore her hair in a short afro. Back then, that was a pretty radical thing to do. Some people even thought it was a bit rebellious. But Cicely Tyson didn't let that stop her. She was all about being true to herself and challenging the status quo. Even though she faced some criticism, Cicely Tyson never gave up. She continued to work hard and deliver powerful performances that moved audiences. She showed the world that black women could be strong, independent, and successful. Cicely Tyson was more than just an actress. She was a role model and an inspiration to so many people. 24. Pam Grier. Pam Grier starred in these action movies called blaxploitation films, where she played strong, independent black women who could kick serious butt. Movies like Coffee and Foxy Brown made her a huge star. But some people weren't so sure about these blaxploitation movies. They thought they might have some negative stereotypes about black people. Pam Grier also had some pretty high-profile relationships with famous guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Richard Pryor. That definitely got a lot of attention, but it wasn't always easy. Even though she faced some challenges and criticisms, Pam Grier is a true legend. She paved the way for other black actresses and showed the world that women could be strong, independent and successful in action movies. She's a total icon. 25. Diana Ross. Diana Ross is like the ultimate music legend. She was a huge star with the Supremes and then went on to have a solo career that was just as amazing. But even legends have to deal with some drama sometimes. One of her biggest songs, I'm Coming Out, was a huge hit, and it's now considered an anthem for the LGBTQ+ community. But back when she released it, some people actually warned her that the song could ruin her career. This backlash was due to misconceptions about the song's meaning and its implications about her personal life. Diana Ross also had a very public life, which sometimes led to unwanted attention. There was one incident where a photo of her touching another female singer in a way that some people found inappropriate made headlines. Despite these controversies, Diana Ross remains an iconic figure in music and entertainment, known for her incredible talent and contributions to the industry. 26. Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn is a well-loved actress and comedian, famous for her bubbly personality and iconic roles in movies like Cactus Flower and Private Benjamin. However, like many celebrities, she faced her share of criticism. One of the main reasons Goldie Hawn got some negative attention was due to her busy career and how it impacted her family life. Goldie's son, Oliver Hudson, mentioned on a podcast that he sometimes felt unprotected during his childhood. He shared that his mom was often busy with her acting career or with new boyfriends, which made him feel like she wasn't always there when he needed her. This statement drew a lot of media attention and led some people to criticize Goldie for her parenting choices. In addition to her family life, Goldie also faced some scrutiny because of her long-term relationship with actor Kurt Russell. They've been together since 1983, which is a remarkable achievement in Hollywood. However, they've chosen not to marry, which has led to some public discussion and debate. Despite this, Goldie and Kurt have always appeared to be very happy and supportive of each other. 27. Ali MacGraw. Ali was a huge star in the 1960s and 1970s, and she was known for her beauty and acting talent. However, her personal life and some career decisions brought her under scrutiny. One of the main reasons Ali faced criticism was her high-profile relationships. She was married to producer Robert Evans, and they were quite the power couple in Hollywood. But things took a turn when Ali had an affair with actor Steve McQueen while filming The Getaway. This affair led to her divorce from Evans and created a lot of drama in the press. People were fascinated by her romance with McQueen, but it also made her the subject of gossip and criticism. Another incident that drew negative attention was her involvement in the TV miniseries War and Remembrance. Ali was cast in the role of Natalie Jastrow, but she was later replaced by actress Jane Seymour. The reasons behind her replacement were attributed to creative differences and scheduling conflicts. However, this decision upset some fans and raised questions about her professionalism. Despite these controversies, Ali MacGraw had a successful career. She starred in iconic movies like Love Story, which earned her an Academy Award nomination, and Goodbye Columbus, which brought her significant recognition. 28. Julie Christie. Julie was a huge star in the 1960s and 1970s, and she was known for her incredible acting talent and striking beauty. However, a few things about her career and choices brought her under some scrutiny. One major reason Julie Christie faced controversy was her role in the 1973 film Don't Look Now. In this movie, she starred alongside Donald Sutherland, and they had a very intense and realistic intimate scene. This scene was so graphic and convincing that many people believed it was real and not just acting. It caused a huge stir and sparked debates about censorship. Even Julie's boyfriend at the time, Warren Beatty, was reportedly upset and flew to London to demand that the scene be cut. This incident put a lot of focus on Julie and led to plenty of criticism. Another reason Julie faced criticism was her outspoken nature. She wasn't afraid to speak her mind about Hollywood and the film industry. She often criticized the industry's focus on glamour and superficiality over real substance. While this honesty won her respect from some, it also made her unpopular with others in the industry who preferred to keep things more controlled and behind the scenes. 29. Vanessa Redgrave. Vanessa is an incredibly talented actress known for her work in film, theater, and television. But beyond her acting career, her outspoken political views and activism often stirred up trouble and criticism. One of the most infamous moments in Vanessa's career happened at the 1978 Oscars. She won the award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Julia. During her acceptance speech, she referred to a group of protesters outside the event as Zionist hoodlum. This was a huge deal because it was a very politically charged statement, and it didn't sit well with many people. The audience had a mixed reaction. Some people booed, while others clapped. Vanessa didn't shy away from political activism. She was involved in many causes, like opposing the Vietnam War and later the Iraq War. She even ran for political office in Britain as a member of the Workers' Revolutionary Party, which was a far-left political group. Her strong political stances often put her at odds with more conservative audiences and industry figures. Some people admired her for sticking to her beliefs, while others thought she was too radical or outspoken. 30. Katharine Ross. Katharine Ross, known for her roles in The Graduate and Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid, faced some criticism and controversy during her career. One reason was her high-profile relationship. She was married 5 times, and her marriages often made headlines. Her relationships with actors like Conrad Hall and Sam Elliott were particularly well publicized, and the ups and downs of these relationships drew a lot of media attention. Another reason for the criticism was an incident involving her daughter, Cleo Rose Elliott. Cleo allegedly harmed Katharine with a sharp object, which was a shocking and distressing event. This incident brought a lot of negative attention to Katharine and raised questions about her family life. Despite these controversies, Katharine Ross had a successful career and was nominated for an Academy Award for her role in The Graduate. Let me know in the comments below which of these actresses you're most interested in learning more about. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Hollywood drama and celebrity gossip.